Hey Kevin, I have, we're muted for a second, but can you hear me?
Yeah. Onto the reading. That's right, that's how it's Jackson on, yeah.
We can't hear you.
Relativity and quantum.
Julia, would that use the city of Kingston Wi-Fi?
Yeah, we can't hear you, Kevin.
Yes. Oh, can you hear me now?
Okay, yes, yep.
Okay.
I'm just gonna go on mute for a minute until we have everybody,
Yeah,
all right?
of course, no problem.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll shut the audio.
Hi, Melissa. Hi, Emily. We're just waiting till we have quorum, so I have us on mute, but you can go ahead and test your speakers.
Okay, hello.
Good.
Hello.
Great, great. All right, I'll see you in a minute.
Good. Sounds all good.
And a big plant swap is what it is. I know, I have it in the calendar. I'm excited. We're having that, agenda there, we're not going, at the, it's gonna be at the, Tracy Plaza, I think it's called. I always like to make excited. Oh, no, of course, that's gonna be a, yes, yeah. Oh. Well, we have four, so we are going to start the meeting. I'll call to order. It is 5:53 p.m. No, it's not. It's 5:35 p.m. I think that's firstly, very close. Great. So, in the room, we have Commissioners Pat Carroll and Fitzpatrick, Bobby Seaver, Roberta Rivera, James Smith, and Jake Strauss remotely. Commissioners, and we have their addresses printed, and we have the form in the room, so their vote still counts into the forum. Emily Chesson and Melissa Iachetta do not see Beth Rod or Chris Hughes, and Cal treatment is excused. We also have ex officio members, myself, Julie Noble, and Brad Borquist, and we also have non-voting members in the room, Agnieszka Shevik, Kevin McAvoy is remote, and Troy Shaheen is excused. Also have guests, Bill Showering. How many people know guys? Is that right? Great. And Bill, I resent the link to that Bard email that I have, but if you have other Bard people that are not gonna get that email, they're gonna need to be forwarded the email.
I sent them as well, but I'm not sure if Robbie might still, like, I was thinking that it's still at the, for this call.
Do you guys sell?
You know, I'm gonna say if you sent an email.
Okay. All right, well, we will then just proceed with the meeting, and if they are able to, oh, here is somebody, Ganesh. Also apologies about the air conditioning / no air conditioning. I did walk it, so that's me. I will investigate what the building is gonna be like the rest of the summer to see if we're still gonna be here. Hi, I think Ganesh, you just joined us.
Hey Julie, yes, it's me. Can you guys hear me?
Can hear you just fine. Do you have others with you or are others coming separately?
Yeah, they're gonna be joining separately. They should be joining in a minute or less.
And Annika, you're here? Can you hear us all right?
I hear you. Yes. Hello.
Hello. We're just getting started, and I see that Grace is also joining us. There's Grace.
You're
Hi,
getting
Grace. Are you able to hear us all right?
Yeah, thank you. Hi,
Very
everyone.
good. All right, so, are you expecting anyone else?
Yeah, so Robbie he was at that city hall.
Okay.
That's my bad.
Is he in the car?
I assume so. I mean, yeah.
Okay, great. So we'll give Robbie a moment to be here. Are you expecting anyone else besides Robbie?
I think Dana will be online.
Yes, already. Okay, so we're just gonna go through the minutes and a couple of things, and then we'll move right over to the presentation. So, are there any modifications to the agenda? As you see, I only included initiatives where someone asked me to include it. So if I didn't hear from you, then your initiative is not on here. If you do have a last minute update that would like to add in, we can do that in modifications to the agenda, which is now. Yes.
Thanks so much for the agenda. I wasn't able to schedule the first meeting of the Communications and Outreach Committee last month, just due to scheduling conflicts and whatever. So I would like to spend a little bit of time figuring out a day that might work for the coming months for that group.
Okay, we'll add that in. If you don't remember what goal that is, but I think it's after 7, so we're gonna add it in as D. 5, 6, 7, 8. Nope, 5, 6, 7, D. Any other modifications? All then to the.
Sorry, just a like a quick 1 minute thing about Repair Cafe for June.
Okay. Would you consider that outreach, wait, outreach and education is on there already.
Oh, okay. So that's included.
That's 7, so.
8.4.
C.4 would be, scheduling.
It's hard to hear what you're saying
Oh, really?
a little bit.
Change the source.
I changed the source to a laptop.
Testing 1, testing 2. Can you hear me, Melissa?
I hear you, Jake. You're very clear.
Ah, so it's just a Julie.
I see.
It's me, not an issue. Alright, so I will talk about it. Is that better?
Sure.
There's a little screen. Okay. Then we will add scheduling to 7C4 and repair cafe, which I also consider outreach and education perhaps, to 7C5. Are there any other changes to the agenda? All right, then we will move on to the meeting minutes. Kevin, just a few things, clarifications. So in the commission, in the actual attendees,
Yeah.
Chris Hughes, you have listed as excused. I did not get an excuse from him in advance of the meeting, so that would be considered an absence. And
Okay.
Roberto, I did not hear from in advance of the meeting, so that would be considered an absence. And Brad Borquist was present.
I believe I heard from Roberto, but he couldn't get down to 20 Broadway.
Okay.
That's why I had him as excused. So
Fine then. And Brad was present at the meeting.
oh, Brad was there. I missed that completely. Okay, we'll note that very yeah.
Thank you.
Okay.
Also under,
I was also present in person
Yeah.
in
I
April.
was present.
Melissa, weren't you on Zoom and maybe you went to the meeting halfway through it or something?
Yeah, I was like 15 minutes late, but I was driving up from an event.
Oh, okay, because I saw
Go.
you on Zoom. Okay, that's why I did that. Okay, we'll take that.
Gotcha.
We'll have
Sorry.
you in person. No problem at all. That's done. Okay.
And then just under number 6, where the new business subcommittee establishment was going on, we ended
Yeah.
up writing number, what you have listed as number 8.
Whoops, I lost
9.
you.
I'm sorry, number 9
Uh-oh.
and number 10 got wrapped into outreach and
Uh-oh.
education.
I lost you.
Lost my sound? Can you
The
all?
sound cut. The
Can anyone
sound cut
hear me?
out. It's in it.
You guys hear?
Okay, numbers 9 and 10 under item 6 in the previous minutes were bundled together, is that right?
Yeah, can you hear anything? Yeah.
It's in and out.
Is it your Wi-Fi? Is it showing
Okay,
it's
we're
responding?
interested, I'm sorry.
I don't think I have anything else open. No. Let's close that. See if that helps.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Yeah.
All right. So how many? Oh, it's not.
It is, because.
What do I have to do now?
There's an echo there.
Phones are open.
We'd have to cut the connection from 20 baud.
How do I do that?
And the volume down, TV.
Or close it?
Oh, wait, what if we just mute them? Does this do it?
How about that? Does that work for people?
did it both, you moved it both.
Oh, yeah, that sounds good.
That's good?
Much better. Yeah.
Okay, but is everyone here able to hear?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, but everyone in the room can hear?
Yes.
Okay, so number 9 and number 10.
Yeah.
Yell now. Are gonna get wrapped into education and outreach. Those are not going to be their own individual subcommittee.
Okay.
And so is building electrification protocol. So actually 8. Wait a second.
Did we cut?
I think that we might have cut 8 or put that into 7. I think we cut 10. I was just looking at it early before we got here, and I think what's listed as 7 is now 7.1, what's listed as 8 is now 7.2, and what's listed as 9 is now 7.3. Those are all part of education and outreach.
Okay, 7.2, 7.3, 4 and 5, 7.4 and 5.
7, what's listed as 7 in your minutes,
Yeah,
is now 7.1.
yeah.
Listed as 8, which is building
And
electrification, is
everything
7.2.
below that is 7.2, 7.3, 7.4, and refrigerants is 7.5,
No,
right?
number 10 was just gobbled up and not given
Sound
its
is
own
going
number. So number 10 doesn't really exist as its own thing, and number 11 stayed 11.
That's refrigerants.
Yes,
Okay, that's 11. And develop community climate survey is 7.4.
it really was just eliminated as an option. It was just kind of wrapped into education. So that would be part of 7.1.
So just cut it and paste it and put it under 7.1. Okay.
Yes, yep.
Um,
Okay. Does anyone have any other changes to the minutes? Not, we need a motion to accept the minutes as amended. A motion by Anthony, a second by Jake. Any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed or abstaining? Carried. Thank you very much. So Kevin, that was motion by Anthony and seconded by Jake.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we are going to welcome our BARD NYC Lab final presentation. Who am I giving the permissions to?
I could do it.
I think Robbie's going to share his screen directly there.
oh, no.
Would I hit? That's a chest ass. Can you hear us?
How about, can you all hear?
First again, this week started.
Yes.
Okay. Well, welcome everyone from BARD. We're excited to hear about your final presentation, and I guess, should I start with Robbie?
Yeah, so let me just get this set here.
Yeah.
Maybe close the screen sharing, it'll be easier. Fine.
Yeah.
Yes. The agendas on these still.
Whatever you want, you want me to run? Maybe since we're in a food, then you can be nice and straight.
Yeah, I would say
and stuff.
let me look at your, be better to me.
It's gonna be similar to the presentation that we gave, but we'll.
So you'll just stand, you can just stand there.
While it's happening, I'm just gonna take a quick vote on the temperature. It's hotter outside, but opening window would allow airflow. And people prefer to stay as is, or open the.
It's fine, maybe.
As this is fun. All right. And this,
But I don't, people stand and everyone's waiting.
yeah,
I would recommend maybe you leave it closed. If it was a little cooler out and more humidity, pretty much then too, it's pretty close and close.
Yeah.
all right. Well, then we'll hand it over to the folks from Florida. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm just checking to make sure it doesn't seem like some of the slide is frozen.
What a day for that, for everything. Sometimes it's too hot.
Is the whole thing frozen or just?
Well, it's yeah, I'm trying to test to go to different slides, but it's just stuck on our first slide.
Stop the screen share.
Very well, do I phone?
I am.
That's the great.
So this presentation doesn't start really just. You can just go, you can always send it to me and I can share it for mine. I'll not set up going to be any different.
Ramps. Easier. So this actually is. Oh, yeah, that's pretty huge. It's not just, it's not just the website sheets.
Çıkara konuştukları tarafından glass and the sheet. Stacking the glass on the end of the photo.
So her.
There you go. To the west scripture of chocolate. Yeah.
Okay. Here to go.
All right. Still taking this back and.
Okay, no, so it's not gonna look bad. No.
Sorry.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Love the new digs. We're the bar team. You saw a few of us on the Zoom. It's me, Grace, Annika, and Dinesh, and you're here from all of us today. We just want to recognize and Julie and Phil for doing the great work that they've done, for the entire commission who's doing some great work in Kingston. We really applaud your efforts in achieving a great accomplishment, driving sustainability, earning your silver certified climate smart community award. And I just want to say from us who are studying, who are MBA and sustainability students, it's really something that we are inspired by and encouraged with all the work that you do, all the success that you've had. And that gives us a lot of encouragement for our future work as well. And I got an ad, that's right. And we're not, we're dead. Oh, that's good. Such. We're the top, we are good. Okay, go back to levels. All right. All right, today we'll be discussing the problem that Julie and Phil identified for us to take up as a project, which is developing a process for a solution and a recommendation that we can put forward that the city of Kingston can use towards its sustainability goals. And so we're going to go through some of the different aspects that we worked on, the way we approach the projects, the survey that we all took together, and then some ideas that we came through for using the tool to measure greenhouse gas emissions. So as you know, the goals that you all have, the city of Kingston has, are ambitious. From the 2010 baseline, it was to achieve 50% greenhouse gas reductions by 2030 and to be net zero by 2050. And as you all know, Kingston is not new to ambitious development. You have a rich and significant history in the state of New York, being founded in 1652, and being New York's first capital in 1777. Today, we're very impressed with the fast growth that the city is having in regards to development and investment. And we also support the work you're doing to make sure that's done in a sustainable manner. We have a very diverse population, and as a Kingston resident myself, I'm very proud that we have a diverse population. I'm fiercely proud of our community and this collaborative in ensuring it continues in the future of prosperous, vibrant, and inclusive. So though the city of Kingston has set forth these goals, Julie and Philip have identified a gap in comparing possible climate actions to undertake. So it's important for them to be financially considerate in the greenhouse gas reduction projects they implement. They have determined that a structured decision framework will support their efforts in ensuring selected projects are in line with their goals and what you all have set forth. So those goals are prioritized, are reducing emissions, being cost effective, and also considering the social impacts to the community. So what is it that we need to address this? You identify what is needed to support their work and work with the city of Kingston. One, a way to identify and weigh social co-benefits. This is important in order to ensure projects that reduce greenhouse gas emissions also benefit the residents and neighborhoods in need. And two, a way to model possible projects that can be implemented with respect to the emission reductions and costs to the taxpayers. This way, as you know, you apply for grants for these projects, you can have the tools to make those decisions of which grants to pursue, which projects to implement. So our approach to developing solutions to address these needs take two approaches. The first is a social impact survey, which you all have done with our Climate Smart Kingston Commission. This will support in identifying the views of the commission members to determine the priorities. The second is a decision support tool that allows you to compare and contrast the various initiatives they can implement and grants they should pursue. My colleague Grace will now take us through the development and results of the social impact survey.
Thanks, Robbie. Hi, everyone. So yeah, before I kind of get into the results of the survey, I guess I'll take a step back and just reiterate exactly why we saw value to doing this survey. And through just several conversations with Phil and then conversations that we had with other stakeholders, particularly the city of Ithaca, we began to think about how this tool would really serve Kingston, and also considering, through the city's climate action plan, there already is such a focus on kind of community engagement and social impact, but we wanted to think about a way in which that could really be measured or captured in some way through the tool. So, and when we're thinking about social impact, what we mean are really the positive societal outcomes that arise alongside actions that you're taking that are, carbon reduction focused, and those sort of like environmental and sustainability goals, but you have those kind of other positive outcomes alongside them. So the purpose of the survey was really to gauge from you all, as representatives of the community, but also as, even subject matter experts, I guess, in terms of sustainability and climate strategy and planning. We wanted to understand from you the most important sort of categories and what matters most, I guess, when we're thinking about kind of like social impact. So, and also just want to say thank you so much to those who participated when we came and shared the survey with you all. So, yeah, thank you for your involvement. And Robbie, you can move to the next slide. I'll start to get into kind of what came from it and what we found. So, the first thing in terms of the results was measuring or understanding the social impact areas that you all wanted to prioritize, and based on essentially how you rank them from these were multiple choice options that we had given you. So the main sort of priorities we saw were making houses more affordable and energy efficient, a focus on green jobs and workforce transitions, and building resilience in neighborhoods vulnerable to climate impacts. So, these three are seemingly very interconnected. And it's obvious that you're all not just thinking about carbon reduction, but who exactly in the community that is benefiting, I guess, from the proposed kind of projects and solutions that the city is thinking about. Next slide, please, Robbie. And so then having an idea of sort of those different priority areas, we're wondering, about the sort of criteria and measurement that you're all interested in. So from there, we got that in terms of when we're thinking about housing, that measuring low-income households that are benefiting from energy upgrades was of interest, as well as seeing an increase in local green job opportunities, as well as an increase in use of affordable low carbon transportation options. So, this criteria is helpful when when Kingston rather is identifying, different climate strategies, and thinking about, what kind of co-benefits could come out of it, and in addition to the environmental goals that have been set. Next slide, please. So then we wanted to get a sense of sort of how you all would like to see the city engage and involve community members, and what would be kind of the most effective way to do so. And the main takeaways here is that participation really has to meet people where they are. So whether that's holding meetings, public meetings in different neighborhoods, and signaling that engagement isn't really a one size fits all, and kind of meeting people where they are is of importance. In addition, engagement is a process. So in addition to public meetings, having, regular surveys and feedback sessions was communicated as something that, the city should focus on, and that's of importance. And then also knowing that the most valuable knowledge is local. So collaborative workshops with local businesses, youth organizations, those kind of on-the-ground groups that have the on-the-ground knowledge is something that should be captured, and collaborative workshops kind of acknowledges that as well. So yeah, that's kind of, we can move to the next slide. And then I believe these were maybe the more open-ended questions that we had asked, but we wanted to just get a sense from you all about challenges, strengths, and specific actions, if there were any that you'd want to see, priority be taken. So in terms of key obstacles or barriers, you all answered, and it kind of goes in line with the priorities that I went over, but affordability, financing and equity gaps, and car-dependent systems were some of the challenges or barriers that Kingston's facing. But the strengths are that you all see the community commitment and the existing sort of program momentum as real assets to build on, and with very engaged leadership as well to achieve that. And then top action areas, priority areas are focused around upgrades like improved walkability and bikeability, potential investment in heat pumps, in transit, in EV transition, and public education as well. Next slide. So as some of the sort of bigger takeaways that, we definitely have considered then when moving into the tool development, which we'll get into in a minute, are these three things here. So clearly you all view social impact and GHG reductions as equally important and see equity as a core part of climate planning. It's not an afterthought, and you believe like the city should align with the trend of treating equity and emissions reductions as equally important goals. Multi-channel engagement and kind of what I just went through of the different sort of methods to get to residents and to get to community members. It's a best practice worth emphasizing, and the city should rely on those multiple formats that I outlined. And then finally, those priority co-benefit areas reflect, somewhat systemic issues, but overall, it just goes to show that, building neighborhood resilience, it's not an abstract sort of climate goal. And it's just very obvious to you all that centering and connecting climate action directly to people's lives is critical. So this insight was all very helpful in terms of informing the type of decision-making tool that the city needs. We can go last slide. And then finally, just wanted to touch on the results from these, I believe, were also open-ended, which was really, we wanted to get a sense of how you envision the city working with the community to achieve a sustainable future, and also what that really looks like to you in the first place when you're thinking about Kingston years from now, and you see it as the sustainable city that it is, and a resilient city. What does that really look like? So, and how do you get there? So you all see the need for local participation with on-the-ground organizations, as well as a focus on public education in order for Kingston to achieve its goals. We saw some favorite initiatives enacted to date. That was a fun question and fun answers. So things like composting, the installation of bike lanes, EV charging stations, the repair cafe, and community events were all some highlights. And then when it comes to the 2030 vision of Kingston, you see it as a quieter, cleaner, more walkable city, fewer cars, more renewable energy, expanded composting, and more public space for community life. So again, the survey reiterated the importance to us of, considering a tool that can capture, it goes beyond carbon reduction, it captures the initiatives that, will have other benefits for its residents and really uplift the community along the way. And that is it. And now I'll turn it over to Annika to get into the development of the decision-making tool.
Thanks, Grace. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting us to show you our presentation. The tool was our main deliverable, and we set out to make it adaptable, user-friendly. It had to model scenarios and deliver metrics like social cost of carbon and cost benefits, in addition to identifying the social impacts, as we've already mentioned. So the initial thought was to create a kind of dashboard using Power BI or Tableau, but those are pretty incredibly complex platforms to learn initially. And since we're all kind of new at this, we decided that we should just investigate what already exists, that climate forward municipalities are already using. And the wonderful thing was that there are many cities that are climate forward, as you probably have encountered, but also that there are many frameworks. So our first goal was to examine what were our key criteria. And what we needed to find out were these 6 factors. One, they had to do cost comparisons. The tool had to model scenarios. It had to include multi-sectors, and it had to be adaptable and shareable so that Kingston could share their discoveries with other municipalities working towards similar goals. We also wanted GPC compliance so that it could be traceable and standardized. And also we definitely wanted to involve the social co-benefits that we've already talked about. Next slide. After narrowing the field based on our criteria, there were at least two options that were immediately available to us, namely because they were free. There was the EPA local GHG tool provided by the Environmental Protection Agency, and CURB, which stands for Climate Action for Urban Sustainability, and is a joint product of the World Bank and C40 organizations. The EPA tool showed promise, but it because of its data tie-ins with the portfolio manager that you guys use, but it proved difficult and sort of outdated. Envisio was a second option, was impressive because it offered data-driven cross-departmental integrations and really good visualizations, but lacked scenario modeling, and it came with a hefty annual subscription, which was based on the number of users. Community Hub was probably the most exciting discovery because it was our first one, and it was really innovative in that it tracks real-time usage using sensors that the whole community can observe and follow. And as an educational and inspirational device for the community, it was really exciting, but for the city action planning, not so great. Next slide. So really, CURB was the only one that made sense for us moving forward, and the client agreed to let us build it out. It's a free and accessible workbook, which allows municipal governments to model scenarios across target years based on real or proxy baseline data. It also provides emission projections, net present value of actions taken, and the ever important cost-benefit comparison. And luckily for us, it also identifies co-benefits. ClearPath 2.0 deserves mentioning because it has also full functionalities, and it also is a supportive environment with a network of municipalities through ICLEI, which offers technical support and a robust public-facing dashboard. But the population-based subscription fee created an access barrier for our team. And in addition, social co-benefits and cost-effective metrics were add-on fees and not inclusive in the baseline tool. So now Danish is going to take us through CURB.
Good evening, everyone. So let me know at any point if I drop out or if you can't hear me clearly. I am on hotspot. And I'm also going to be running through an Excel-based file, but on PowerPoint. So just bear with me for the next few slides. So before any modeling or scenario analysis could be completed, we first needed to establish a strong data foundation within the CURB framework. And the first step was the setup phase, where we defined baseline information about the city of Kingston, including population, geographic size, climate conditions, and target years. We aligned the tool to Kingston's climate planning timeline and selected 2010 as a primary baseline year based on available benchmarking and emissions data. Next was the inventory phase. This involved compiling available city data across major sectors such as buildings, transportation, wastewater, and energy. Because not every data set was readily available at the municipal level, we supplemented city-specific information with proxy data sets provided through CURB and public sources such as census data, NYSERDA reports, and utility benchmarking information. One challenge we encountered during the project was data availability. In some areas, Kingston-specific data was available directly through benchmarking reports and municipal documents. In other cases, we relied on proxy assumptions from CURB or regional data sets to fill gaps. And as part of that C40 combination, we were able to get those cities proxy data to help fill those gaps. So the value of this structure is that a city can continue updating the model over time as better data becomes available. The tool is designed to evolve and improve rather than function as a one-time static analysis. And some of the source documents we used were the 2030 Climate Action Plan, 2025 Energy Benchmarking Report, 2019 Government Operations, Greenhouse Gas Emissions Inventory, 2018 Sustainability Report, 2016 Comprehensive Plan, and Climate Action Plan from 2010 and beyond. Next slide, please. So here, once we set up our data, we want to make sure our baseline data that's highlighted in orange and red for the different sectors are clearly, visible to us based on what all the data that we had gathered, so that we can plan our targets accordingly. And as Kingston's emission or Kingston's targets for 2020 and 2030, which are 20% by 2020 and 50% by 2030. And you can even broaden those target levels out to 2050, right? Go fully into 100%. But we want to limit our scope to 2030 so that we're able to achieve those targets. Next slide, please. So CURB helps determine which climate actions a city should prioritize by comparing them across multiple decision-making criteria. The tool evaluates each action's implementation cost, technical difficulty, project duration, and emissions reduction potential. So this lets Kingston move beyond choosing options solely based on carbon impact and instead focus on strategies that are realistic, achievable, and cost-effective. So for example, high impact measures like building envelope improvements can technically complex and slow to implement, while lighting upgrades are simpler and quicker to deploy. And here in this example, you can see the transportation, which was also highlighted as part of Kingston's climate action plan for 2030. That transportation was a big sector. So you can see highlighted here, if you switch, you have to go into that go to action tab on the Excel file. It will take you through all the actions under how can we change the way people are driving now, which is, it could be whether you're biking more or developing more sidewalks for people to walk. But obviously all of those have implementation costs, and how much of those actions are you going to implement in those years? So, and you can also switch the method of cars. So whether, previously it was highlighted as gas vehicles, and if you're going to electric by 2030, 2050, those could also be measures that reduce your emissions reduction. So all of those, once you go into those actions, it blows it out, and then you can systematically plan it out how and what you're going to do for Kingston for the next 10 to 20 years. Next slide, please. So this kind of also shows you from the municipal level what measures or what actions you can take. So this is, you go into one of those sectors, you go into the lighting, and then you can plan it out based on from 2010 to 2030. What actions have Kingston already taken, whether that's street lighting that Kingston completed in 2020, so you can mark it as 100%, and then it's also going to highlight its own implementation cost. So those are some factors that have already been calculated on that spreadsheet. So you just have to watch out for those as you progress in the years, and you also have to see how when it's getting updated, because after COVID, some of those implementation costs have jumped up rapidly, right? They have gone from 100% to 200 from what we had seen or planned before. So this, the previous slide showed for transportation sector. This one shows you for municipal sector. So next slide, please. So this slide highlights the projected impact of municipal climate actions through 2030. Based on the projected scenario through these actions in CURB highlights, or it's reducing 1.9 million in energy reductions per year. Building envelope account for the largest share of reductions, making about 34% of the total potential impact. Additional emission cuts come from upgrades in existing municipal buildings, including lighting, space heating, cooling efficiency, and building envelope improvements. CURB also evaluates implementation costs, energy savings, and payback periods, helping decision makers weigh both environmental benefits and financial considerations. So some of these, if depends on how aggressive our goals are. So if you want to go from chiller, if you want to do a high efficiency chiller by 2030, you want to make sure all the municipal buildings have changed it out by 2030. You will see a higher implementation cost, but if you roll it out further to 2050, that's not going to align with our envision for 100%. So that's why some of these are more aggressive and more implementation costs. Next slide, please.
Do you have a question? Yeah, can I just clarify, are these tables that we're seeing examples, or are these with Kingston inputs included?
So like for example, for street lighting for Kingston, I've put it, so based on, it's, because ideally our target was 2020, it should be 20%, and 2030, it should be reducing 50%. But for lighting, as we had already know, it was done in 2020, so I've put as 100%. So some of these things are with Kingston's data, and then there's data that we put in that that kind of align so that it's not too aggressive, that we put it as 50%. So it kind of lays it out till 2050. But we also had another baseline spreadsheet that was putting 2020 as a baseline year instead of 2010 because of data that we had available. So it kind of, these screenshots are from those two Excel sheets. And one of them that I put in screenshots that these are proxy data that we have done just to, figure out what or how Kingston, Julie, and Phil in particular can play around with those actions based on what the commission is looking for. So in future slides, you're going to see a note and asterisk that these are, not with Kingston's data, but what Kingston can be doing differently.
Thank you.
Okay, so this slide shows how CURB prioritizes climate action using multiple financial and environmental metrics. The table ranks actions by net present value, implementation cost, annual savings, and payback. So NPV reflects the long-term financial impact of each action, accounting for upfront costs, operational savings, and the time value of money. Some of these you can see are negative. So a negative NPV indicates a net financial benefit over the project lifecycle. The savings outweigh the initial investment. So these negative NPV actions are typically the most financially attractive because they reduce emissions while saving the city money. A positive NPV means the action still provides emission reductions, but requires a net investment over time. So together, these metrics help Kingston prioritize actions that balance environmental impact with financial feasibility and long-term budget considerations. Next slide, please. So this slide shows how CURB tracks emission progress across key sectors, including transportation. The tool compares baseline. So this is one of the examples of document. So for this particular spreadsheet, we had used 2020 as a baseline year, and we had spread it out to 2025, 2030, and 2050. It let us do 3 revisions from the baseline. So if it was, when we did 2010, we were able to do 2015, 2020, and 2030. For this one, we went out from 2020 onwards to 2050. So this not only estimates potential reduction, it also evaluates whether selected actions are sufficient to meet sector-specific climate targets. The transportation sector, for example, shows a larger percentage reduction by 2050 due to strategies like mode shifting and vehicle fuel switching. This helps Kingston identify where additional policies, programs, or investments may be needed to stay on track with long-term climate commitments. So some of these, if you go into the actions and you blow it out, it actually, like for the private sector, it actually lets you do it per income level. So if it's whether it's low income, mid to high, or high income, based on those factors, how much are they, or what percentage of that range are they actually going to be able to achieve? So whether that's going from your lighting or your chillers or your boiler, how much of that community is actually able to achieve? So for that, you're really able to dial down and go into those sectors and see what's actually implementable. So that kind of highlights what Kingston had also, or the commission had also, was part of the survey. Next slide, please. So this slide compares multiple climate action scenarios against a business as usual baseline. The purpose of this analysis is to demonstrate how different policy and investment pathways impact overall energy savings and emission reductions. So CURB allows side-by-side comparison of scenarios, helping decision makers evaluate trade-offs between aggressive and moderate implementation strategies. The chart also breaks reductions down by sector, which helps identify where the greatest opportunities exist across transportation, buildings, electricity generation, and other sectors. In this example, the current scenario and scenario 2 demonstrate the highest overall energy savings potential, highlighting how more aggressive action pathways can significantly improve long-term outcomes. So in this screenshot in particular, so some of the challenges we were facing while developing is that the curb spreadsheet is actually very large. And we also had multiple versions of it. One had a baseline of 2010, another one had a 2020 version. So between that, and then we're also encountering some hashtag errors. So because ideally the business as usual target should be, if Kingston does not do anything, this is what their emissions should be based on whatever your baseline was. So, that's why this graph is not showing for BAU, but it needs to be further worked on in order to, troubleshoot and correct it. But otherwise it should show what the BOU should be. Okay, here I'll hand it off to Grace to walk us through the protocol benefits that curve highlights. So every action is tied to what or how those core benefits are tied, and that's what Grace is going to be outlining for us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Danish. So yeah, now that you all have kind of seen the back end of what these different actions and scenarios, what can be done in curb, the way that you can essentially tag co-benefits in curb is really tying you can tie the different co-benefits, you can see them on the screen there, to specific actions. And so it's really easy to trace social impacts, and as Kingston is kind of modeling its different plans for projects that are also considering carbon reduction and cost as well. So if we're thinking about transportation as an example, you can, and say the city is considering a project that you're switching fuels in the city's municipal fleet versus, say, a huge kind of bike lane installation sort of project. You can really tie the different co-benefits to each to help kind of guide decision making. So if you're switching fuels, maybe that will improve air quality and public health, and energy independence is tagged here as well. But say with the bike lane project, you have all of those benefits, or improved air quality, improved public health, and say, you'll also be employing people. If we're thinking back to kind of the priorities around green jobs, and there might be jobs tied to this project, you can then also tie in local economy. So and then they all just kind of stack up there as you see on the screen highlighted. So and in addition, you see clearly the emissions abatement as well as energy reduction that can be reflected there as well. So this is how it all sort of manifests when we're thinking about social equity and tracing it in curb, which is pretty easy to do. And we'll turn it over to Ravi, I believe is next.
So, no, me.
Or Annika.
Thanks, Grace. So is curb the right choice for Kingston? What we came up with is overall yes. It's adaptable, it's accessible, it's scalable in that you can choose different target years based on your evolving action plans. And most importantly, it provides action-specific cost analysis and GHG reduction projections. Is it user-friendly? Kind of. I mean, the platform learning curve is kind of difficult, but once you're set up with accurate inputs and get acquainted with the various tabs, you can get quite detailed in your action selection. As Danish mentioned, you can get in and you can change chillers, high efficiency boilers, you can change HVAC systems, and you can do those even within income levels. So it offers you a lot of flexibility in terms of projections. Unfortunately, it's nearly impossible to track the calculations. Like Danish mentioned, is a huge file, and I wasn't able to get any real user help excepting through the user guide. And because it's Excel-based, regular maintenance and updates will be dependent on the developers, and hopefully that will be prioritized because it is a globally used tool. Lastly, it's most useful if you have a full community-wide inventory to baseline. And while proxy data allows for easy entry and quick accessibility, true projections need accurate data. And fortunately with curb, you can adjust almost everything, even the actual cost of, say, electricity for municipal, residential, commercial buildings individually. So you can get really accurate with it. And I think Robbie is going to fill us out.
Yeah, just to conclude, so just backing up what everyone was saying, Curve is a great tool for giving you, projecting out what is possible. So back to the question you asked, you're gonna have the data that you can put in, but if you're missing data, then you're getting just proxy information, which can be helpful. It can also not be as helpful. So in that sense, there is some clunkiness, but it is gonna allow for one of the purposes is trying to figure out what projects you want to do, right? There's 100 different grants you can apply for. I don't know what to decide for. You can put the information tool, model out different scenarios, and say, okay, this is going to be worthwhile for us to take forward. And also then be considered the social co-benefits and more about the priorities that you would want to be considered in go through. And then, but if you wanted to do something else, as Hannah pointed out, ICLEI, which did have the membership of ICLEI that provides for ClearPath, is also a very good tool. We couldn't get to use it because it had that cost barrier. But that is something, if Kingston then decides to get to a point where we want something public facing, right? Curb is just for the government. It's just for, you all to help to make your decisions. It's not a public facing tool. The ClearPath 2.0 does have a dashboard that the community then can get involved in and see as well. So that'd be the next level of progression if you wanted to go further in that perhaps. Thank you. One thing again, I know everyone's kind of around the country, around the globe. So the fact that they could call in today as well.
Great. Thank you so much. Does anyone have any questions or clarifications, follow-ups?
Can you input any financial estimates or assumptions for the social co-benefits side of the tool?
Yeah, it's a good point. I believe no. It's really just the emissions and energy reduction that's captured.
And the cost. Okay, cool.
Danica, did you have something? So you're about to say something.
No. I was going to say no also. It doesn't equate social benefits with cost effectiveness. It just tags which ones relate to the actions you're taking.
Okay, and it's web-based or Excel-based? Excel-based? There's no web-based platform?
No. Okay. That's also kind of makes it funky. And then you're also dependent on their upgrades to it.
Yeah, sure.
Whereas the ClearPath, then you have a team, or if you need help, you have resources to give to.
Yeah.
Also, the thing is Curb, so Ithaca, the way they do their sustainability actions, they prioritize the social benefits. And that is their decision making in order for what they should go after. Here we're looking at, okay, our focus is emissions, but we want to just have that included as a consideration. So that's when the Curb is adding that as a considerable factor rather than the full.
Okay.
We saw some implementation costs for some example renovations or improvements to buildings, et cetera. Are those fixed, given to you by Curb?
That's in their guidance. So that goes back to
because the building envelope implementation that they had was like 1/3 or 1/4.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned if prices change, if that Curb tool isn't getting updated, then we're not getting back to fair.
Like I said, that you can change the any values. You can't change the cost of things in that increase. You got it, because otherwise you can't. It's not the same cost of one of the road. This is for the whole road.
I'm having a little trouble hearing the question, but the costs that you can change are really about energy costs, right? And you can change, I don't know, like if you can go in and actually change like how much an HVAC system costs, but you can go in and change how much your electricity costs are per year. And that's based on your baseline data. Does that answer the question?
more community scale than it is maybe individual.
But that doesn't make sense because that would mean that curb could only be used for a specific community in a specific location. Because even between here in California or here in Iowa, it's different. Like those prices, I don't know, sorry. I'll look into that.
Dinesh, what did you encounter with the costs in terms of professionals?
Yeah, I mean, it's an Excel-based tool and it also has a lot of locked fields. So ideally, like if you follow the path for the implementation, so you should be able to see where that cost is coming from, but I don't think you can change it. And that's why I think when I was talking about it, it depends on how frequently it's refreshed, who refreshes it, where they refresh it, because I think like Phil mentioned, that's an excellent point. That number is going to change. Even within New York State, that number, what you're going to see in New York versus what you see in, some of the other cities uptown, it's going to be different. So I think right now, maybe if you have an Excel wizard on the team that can unlock some of those features and see what the implementation cost is and try to change it. Because what we would do is it kind of spits out that number for you automatically. It's not something that we're able to change, or all we can do is either are you going to change, for example, for the chiller, are you going to change it from a medium efficiency chiller to a high efficiency chiller? It's going to spit out what that cost is going to be. So it already is calculated within it, and it was not a tool as part of the setup that you can change what the cost of these things are.
I have another question related. Does it allow you to input a specific location? Like, does it include any locational, even like US cost estimates?
But the proxy data, like for Kingston, the proxy data that we had closer to it was like Atlanta. So these are all the cities that had partnered with Curb, like as part of the C40. So there was also New York City, but if you compare it with New York City, it's not going to be fair. So you have to choose like the proxy data or the proxy city closest to Kingston and the population.
Also, I mean, may I just interject that in a lot of scenarios, in a lot of the baseline data, what we selected was the United States average, right? That was the selection that we used for proxy data. It wasn't so city specific because no city really matched Kingston. Kingston's much smaller than most of the proxy cities. So we went with either the North American or the United States average for proxy.
So like everything we're talking about, like if you like kind of select proxy city, that's all embedded within the Excel sheet.
Yeah.
Can somebody pull it up or give us like a look at it?
It sounds like,
Kind of sounds like.
yeah, I mean, it also sounds like you guys said the calculations were pretty hard to trace, so maybe it's hard to look at it in terms of like you can lock things in Excel, so I bet you they locked a bunch of the functions.
Yeah.
So, it's worth looking at for sure. It also might be something that would be worth kind of, if we are serious about this kind of scenario planning and decision making, it might just be useful to base something off of this and, do our own version.
I mean, no, I'm sorry.
It's a very complicated spreadsheet. Because there's a lot of like functionality to it that these guys can get into.
Okay.
Yeah. But there's gotta be a way to get in there and change that information. That would be so weird. That would be such an oversight.
At the last domain with that, I thought I was using a pretty sophisticated Excel spreadsheet before I worked there. And then I was there and it's like, this is.
Look at this stuff.
But there's source data that it's pulling everything from, right? Like it's gotta have reference tables. And so we could just replace
database last, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if we could replace the reference tables with our own tables and use the tool, we might be able to modify it the way we need to.
All right, so what would you like to see? What was that they were
Think people like buildings.
Yeah.
Are you looking for the calculation or the proxy data or the actions you can take and how you affect them?
think it would be the data that's being used to calculate costs.
Yeah, go down. I don't see it in building energy. Cost calibrations.
Oh, that sounds good.
Human Development Index score. That's interesting.
Yeah,
It's not very precise.
yeah. So it's not, and again, it was come from 2016, so like some of this.
Oh, wow.
And it's also a global tool. It might just be that it's a great tool. It's not necessarily
Is that super accurate?
not easy to scale down in a way.
Everything's based on us as the water. Of course it is.
Heck yeah.
No one.
Maybe we were the most mid-tier country they could think of, you know?
Huh, interesting.
I love tools, but this looks complicated.
What kind of, applications have you guys, with this curve tool, what, have you tested this curve tool in any way? That you've had an Ithaca example, right?
So is it actually they came up with their own? They didn't,
Ah.
because they wanted to focus mainly on the social benefits.
Right.
And then greenhouse.
Which are actually not really, that cannot be reduced to numbers.
But they also shouldn't just be represented by graphics, in my opinion.
Right.
I think numbers are, they only say so much, but they are helpful when you're saying,
Of course.
even if you're assigning the value of a life, like there's a ton of statistical analysis to what that is, but you just pick a number and it changes your
What do you see in
Your
the
output.
actions?
So the way Ithaca does it is that they, and Grace might be able to chime in here because we were on that call together, but Ithaca it's not like a technical person like me who's like making numbers for equity-based, like social-based things. They actually put it up to, I think, their equivalent of the Common Council, which maybe, I'm not sure if they're following exactly his names here, but everyone, they're like, here's a project, and then everyone chimes in on what they think based off the number of metrics that project scores, and then the person like crunches the numbers and then presents it back and says, these are all the projects, these are the way they've scored. So it gets around the fact that equity, social stuff, there is no number. It makes it into a number, but it's actually just like an amalgam of what they think, like a survey.
So this is like where you can change the actions, you can say, okay, we're going to switch low efficiency to high efficiency.
As far as these actions, I don't think there's enough, just looking at that table.
It's not a little decision.
I was gonna ask the question, it seemed like a lot of the actions you were talking about were like circa 1980. As far as technology, like high efficiency chillers in building HVAC was like an action taken in the 80s and 90s and even through 2000. Right now, you're almost switching up technology and building systems and how they heat and cool with heat pumps and geothermal, whether you're using split systems, and et cetera. And it's more complicated than what I'm seeing.
And I think that's not to say that this isn't, not to say that this isn't like a helpful tool in some ways, if we wanted to build our own. Like, I think we could get more precise, but use this as a framework to build off of. I think it sounds like what a lot of people are interested in here is some of the cost precision. And that's something that makes sense to look at a project level, but also if you're looking at like big scale, it depends on it depends on, I guess, what we would want to use this for. I think that's the biggest question. Because when it comes to like scenario planning, there's no perfect tool. And like I've looked at them too and it's all so complex and like, yeah, so I think, yeah, if we were really interested in doing some scenario planning, I think it would take us looking at this as a framework and inputting a lot of things. So.
Other folks have questions or comments for our team? Yes, yeah.
There was one tool that similar to Bricks. Do you?
Bricks, I think we heard of GRITS, and I have not used it, but I've been solicited many times, and while it looks like the next thing that I've been spreadsheet based on. And it's online.
What's this?
Well, it
What's
is,
this go?
but it's mostly, oriented, but it gives
Sorry,
you
you're-
all, like,
You guys are talking about Cirrus, right? The
Grit.
Cirrus.
It's called Grit.
Grits,
Oh, I didn't hear. Sorry.
GRITS.
Oh, no, I don't know that one.
GoGrits.org. But they've kind of made their ways of the landscape. There's a new, like, not consider breakthrough from decade, but it's like, I don't know, it's hard to, so it's, all the tools are good as much as like people are willing to use them.
And when I see your hands up,
Yes. Do the Curb developers, do they update the data sets that they're using in the workbook regularly?
I honestly don't know. I think the last update was 2018 on the tool itself.
Okay.
I know that there is another compatible workbook that a lot of municipalities use to keep track of their data, and then they upload it into Curb. It's called Cirrus. It's CIRIS, and that one was more recently updated. They just came out with a new version of that. So I think that's maybe how Curb gets updated, by using the Cirrus tool as a compatibility feature.
Okay.
And that's what you said this, Oakland was using, correct?
Say again?
That's what you said Oakland was using?
New Orleans uses Cirrus, and Oakland previously used Curb. I'm not sure if they're still doing it, but they have used it.
Okay. And then my other question was just like, do you have a sense of how long it would take to learn and get up to speed on using the tool? Like, is it 8 hours, 20 hours, 40 hours? Just
I mean, what's remarkable is it depends on if you have actual data or proxy data. If you have actual data, just setting it up is going to take you many hours, right? Because it gets pretty intricate. And as I mentioned, you can adjust a lot of things specific to your city, including the energy cost per sector. You can go in and change assumptions in different sectors as well. We didn't show that in the Curb part, but it just depends on how detailed you want to get, but you can also use it right away using proxy data.
Okay. So like any tool, it's got drawbacks and also has a lot of benefits to it. So it's just a matter of understanding those when the city's using it for any exercises they would use it for.
Absolutely.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, just to also chime in on the sort of updates. I just did a search on C40's website. So the secondary platforms that Curb uses for that proxy data, which I'm seeing is energydata.info. It's an open data platform. They've synced as recently as August 2025. And then its metadata was last updated 2023. So a little bit more recently than we thought.
any other questions? Yes. I have one final question. Do you think it might be more helpful to view this as a kind of community emissions inventory tool than as a like scenario planning tool? Like, do you think that's more of the functionality? It sounds like you're able to adjust the energy data and then it gives you some options based on some pretty standard cost comparisons. But I guess if you were just looking at the GHG kind of community side of it, that might be particularly helpful.
I think it does a good job of modeling those things out, but it doesn't really work that well as a tracking tool, right? It really is more for modeling and scenario building.
Cool, thank you. That's helpful to know.
Any other questions? Great. Well, it's been a pleasure working with all of you. I know Phil got to work more hand in hand, but Phil and I had a conversation today about how we think about what we're going to be doing next with the tool. And our first step is to really understand what you did first and digest that. And certainly we will then come back to this commission. I will just say from history, our first climate action plan, which was done in 2010, was actually done with ICLEI's Clear Path 1.0. We actually paid that year to join ICLEI, and that's how our first plan is done. So there is precedent for that in the city, but that is under a grant and a while ago and a whole different time and place. But we appreciate the work that you've done and the tool that you've provided us and the background work that you've done. And we look forward to moving forward our work because of the work that you've done. So thank you all very much.
Thank you, Julie.
Thanks, everyone.
Commission. Bye.
All right, you're welcome to head out as well if you'd like.
I'm so, I think personal issues, my wife and I just had a child, so.
Oh, very good.
2-month-old at home, so they have to go back.
All right. Congratulations.
And 4 more months and they'll sleep overnight. Yeah. You're almost there. Good luck. I will say.
Do you have so many games that were first?
Thanks so much.
Now, in 2010, 2010, the first time I did one was in 2010. Actually, probably down to 2009, but yeah, so yeah, probably 2010 because that was the 2020 was the 2020 goals, 10 years now. Yeah,
What, the inventory?
yeah,
From 10, yeah.
yeah,
And some of the data is from 2009.
yeah.
Then we reached the last one.
No, last inventory is 2020, but that one is, it's unclear where the information came from. They provided no methodology, no sources. It's just basically just a graph, a bar chart. This is a single bar chart with like huge short. Sorry. Really didn't do it.
I didn't do it. All right, so we will, like I said, Phil's gonna digest the deliverables. And then he and I will circle back on what we want to do with it, then, yeah.
I have a question for you and Bill. When you were thinking about like a GHG support or decision-making tool, I guess you were thinking on a community scale, not on a municipal scale, or you were thinking both?
It started it was municipal, and it was when we went into that project, the idea was a municipal tool that gives us a cost benefit analysis for all the things that we can do as a municipality. And all the things is like building envelope, heating, cooling, and for all of those to just say, all right, this is gonna reduce the greenhouse gas emissions by X amount a year, and it's gonna cost why? That's all I remember.
Yeah, are you thinking about within that, the actions that the city can take, the municipality can take? Are you thinking about city-owned properties?
Yeah, it was like city-owned properties, things that the city directly has control over. So code is sort of cool where there's like a sort of survey where you look at every different type of action and you say, does the city have like legal power over X action, or is it something where you're sort of expecting the community to do it, that kind of thing? So like, for example, we can't mandate that.
Yeah.
I don't think we can mandate that every car needs to be electric in the city. So that's probably like something that the federal government or the state would have to do. So.
And also that would be, fun, that would be drama, for you guys, if you decided to mandate that. Yeah, all from probably every homeowner in Kingston. Who doesn't already have any.
All right, well, any other final words on that?
I appreciate it.
Yeah, any tools like the more specific you can get on what you want to have, it's just like, how people, like, you can get at the end of it.
Yeah.
Self-reporting the individual projects, like the municipal building can be lighting upgrade. And then someone's got to take some time to like figure that out, they'll fill it out and figure out kind of what's inside of this, like what it's talking. But it's not so black box, but like if it's like soulful community stuff.
And that is one thing I would say,
Different.
these guys, they're from a business, a master's in business. It actually quite explicitly said in the beginning that they limited data, like they weren't going to be data crunching. And what I asked them to do was basically just data crunching. And to varying degrees, some of them were like, yeah, let's do it. Other ones were like, I don't know. So it was an interesting, I think it was a good learning experience for us.
Yeah, my favorite part is the survey. I like the survey.
Yeah, the survey was great. That was self-motivated. That was not me asking them to do that. So they recommended that. Yeah.
And honestly, if we wanted to do ever a community survey, I think some of the questions they asked were really fun.
Yeah.
I love visioning. I love the visioning session. I think it's helpful to get that kind of creativity from people. Honestly, when you're thinking about community-wide sustainability.
Yeah, and just like we talked about doing the survey before, again, to the outreach and education subcommittee of taking the existing survey we've done, maybe that would be presented from the questions that they asked.
Yeah. I think it'd be really fun. I need to talk to the other people on the outreach committee first before we start doing it.
Okay. All right, so let's go back to our agenda here. I did skip over organizational procedures, membership renewals and applications. Emily Chesnick has been reappointed until 2028, so welcome back. And the next three folks to expire will be Dan Smith, Pierman, and Kevin McAvoy, who will expire in December of 2026, all three of those. So we're good for a while. And we have no vacancies. There's no new business, so on old business, there were 3 initiatives that were asked to be put on the agenda: battery storage, pool roofs, and outreach and education. Hal is not here, so I'm not sure anyone has anything for pool roofs. So we're going to table that. And we will start with battery storage. And Jake is the subcommittee leader for the battery storage, so we'll push it to Jake.
All right, so we got the zoning working groups, battery storage recommendation, the recommended language that they are working on for the city. I have not reviewed it yet, but I plan to. And I'm also planning on attending the next meeting of the zoning working group, which I believe is either June 12th or June 13th is a Saturday. I think it's June 12th. If anyone would like to join me at the zoning working group, that would be great. Not necessary, but you would all be welcome. So from Bartek's email, it sounds like the best thing we can do is review it and provide any feedback. There are no concrete actions that they need us to take at this moment, but we will also get more context on next steps and how we can be of help, if at all, at that next zoning working group meeting. So that's that. Let me check my calendar. Yes, I believe so.
June 12th looks like it's Friday.
It's a Friday.
Invite.
Jake, I can't remember if Bartek said this in his email, but do you know, are they getting the NYSERDA like citing team to, I know they were working with some folks at NYSERDA initially and using the resources. Do you know if they're getting them to review the updated code draft?
They are having some back and forth with NYSERDA.
Okay, good.
So there's dialogue. It is at 9:30 a.m. on Friday, June 12th. There is a Zoom link or Google Meet link, and there are no physical. Yep, that's that.
Okay. And then I also put on here education, engagement, and coordination. There were some emails that were going on, and Emily, I know that you had said that you wanted to chat about.
Yeah. So,
before you go into that, Emily, I also just want to give some context. I hadn't been able to respond to that email thread, but we were tagged in our Facebook by kingstoncitizens.org, and some folks that oppose the battery energy storage liked that Facebook post that Citizens Kingston made. So basically, they tagged Climate Smart Kingston. I haven't responded. I wanted to hear what you all thought and discuss it, but just wanted to add that context. We were added on Facebook.
Okay.
Feel like getting involved in social media comment battles is of any use whatsoever.
No.
I think the approach is that we forget that happened.
So my understanding is that they got a copy of the memo that we submitted to the mayor. And then based on that, and I think just everything else that's going on in the region about battery energy storage, basically wrote a post saying like, do you trust the city of Kingston municipal staff to be able to regulate like dangerous battery energy storage projects or something like that? I forget exactly what the wording was. So I just wasn't sure if the commission has any experience with these types of communications in the past with Kingston Citizen or any other organizations.
The memo that was sent to the mayor was circulated to folks on the board, this board and the mayor. So I can surmise one of the representatives of this board that is not present shared it with the public, which is fine, whatever, everything we do here is public. And there has been regular concern from Kingston citizens about how the city operates on a number of different fronts. I will say that the city is currently taking a proactive approach and looking at battery energy storage, both through the housing initiatives, zoning relief, and the Climate Smart Kingston Commission, and that and the administration, and that I personally am very confident in the work that the city will and has been doing and will continue to do with battery energy storage concerns.
Yeah, my thinking was I'm not sure if we want to have a conversation with, like, reach out to the Kingston Citizens organization to try to better understand their concerns and just hear where they're coming from, or if it's more of like.
I think if they want to approach us more formally, and I don't personally think that Facebook is a particularly appropriate venue to be having a serious conversation about infrastructure, and I just think that there are different ways to communicate that. And I think I would wait until we get more outreach, through a more formal manner, because I really don't think Facebook is the right venue.
Nor is there anything that this board or the city needs to be defensive about. We're taking a proactive approach and methodical proactive approach. We haven't issued any moratoria. We haven't given a go ahead to anything yet. I mean, I'm not sure what else people would expect us to be doing. So
yeah,
I'm
like
going to
the memo is like
on Facebook.
Yeah, just to say, like, the memo, like the purpose of it says that like we want Kingston to be proactive and transparent in its approach to battery storage. So I don't think like anyone's trying to hide anything by any means. I just wasn't sure if if this is like a opportunity to try to talk to them, just hear what they have to say and just leave it at that. Like we don't even have to like have responses or anything, or it sounds like we just leave it as it is. And if they want to if anyone wants to talk to us about what the city's doing or what we're doing, then we can have that engagement if it's brought to us.
Yeah, I personally think that these kinds of interactions, they can come to these meetings. They can also approach any one of us because these meetings are extremely public. So if they really want to have a say or have a discussion, obviously, we're open to hearing that discussion.
Agreed. Also, all of our meetings are, it's clear as day on all of our agendas that we're talking about battery storage. It's on every recording that we've put onto the website. Melissa, I see your hand up.
Yeah, I just have mixed feelings about if we do something or not, because I feel like us spending time looking into this code and proposing it, like we discussed that it's probably unlikely that like a large scale system could be sited in Kingston given the available land and connectivity, but we I, we were doing it, I think, part in faith to show like we're knowledgeable about this technology, we support this technology, and we want to see it being implemented. And so I feel like almost not saying anything. I know you shouldn't really go back and forth, and I definitely agree Facebook's not the right place, but I almost, they're questioning the city's capability and do we understand what this really means and things like that. And it's a lot of research has gone into figuring this out.
I'm just gonna say that if you follow the city's Facebook pages or any Facebook, there will be someone questioning every single decision the city makes at every single moment.
Literally every role.
Every
I don't know.
Watching this saying, I can't believe they chose black tables. Right. And so, I'm not, no one has communicated with Julie Noble as the chair of the Climate Smart Kingston Commission, nor anyone here formally to ask about the efforts that are underway. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And this frankly is the first time that I'm here, I'm not on Facebook, I haven't seen any comment, this is the first time that I've heard about it, I actually thought we were talking about the thread of communication from Melissa Everett, which clearly there's more to this than I know, but I also will say that there are.
Yeah, Julie, that's what I thought we were talking about too. I didn't know there was Facebook stuff involved too, so that's good to know, the additional detail.
100%, I'm not going to address anything that's been said on Facebook as a city employee, nor as a public, as a private person. If someone would like to formally submit a communication to this group or through an email or whatever, then we can discuss it. People can come to the meeting. There are many groups in the city of Kingston. There are many individuals in the city of Kingston that will question every decision that government has made, and we have nothing to hide and nothing to defend.
So I want to invite them to discuss it at a meeting.
Why would I invite them? They haven't asked to be here.
Well, we can invite anybody.
Everyone is invited to come to tell us.
Everyone.
I mean, as a resident here, before I knew about the commission, it wasn't really known that there is this going on.
But they know about it because they commented.
Yeah.
Right. I'm just saying, if people have things that they want to say, there are more appropriate venues and more appropriate ways to approach us. And so if they are watching this meeting and they want to take any of those more appropriate venues or submit like a formal kind of like request for a meeting, I think that's totally something we could do. I just am hesitant to necessarily pursue that unless it's something that is kind of like, that would have to be a more public meeting that like people are aware of. I feel like I agree with Julie that like we've been doing this in a fairly like logical and like we've been measured and we've been trying to communicate that.
We've been very pragmatic.
We've been very pragmatic and people are very scared of this technology. Let's be real. So like there's a lot of misunderstanding going on and there's also a lot of willingness to there's a lot of people ready to combat whatever we say about this issue, I think. And so that makes it a little bit of a hard touch point to engage people with. Again, like I myself know a little bit about batteries. I'm not an engineer. I don't know everything about them. And so like, I think what we can do as a commission is talk about things from a policy perspective and consult the right people, which I think we've done.
Yep.
Like there are people we've talked to who are engineers, who know with detail all of the fire safety data that's involved in large scale batteries. Like they looked at it, they parsed through it, they've made sure. And so I think in some sense, we have to be reliant on the experts here. And none of us in this room, those of us working in clean energy, are necessarily like the foremost experts. So yeah, I have a lot of thoughts to say about it, and I'm willing to talk to people about it. I just think that like maybe we need to set a line between what we're saying as the commission and what we're saying as individuals, and also recommend people to other resources. Like I don't think this is necessarily the venue for all of that conversation, if that makes sense.
Also, guys, just a reminder, this is an advisory board, not regulatory, so any regulatory or policy decisions that would be made about battery energy storage would not be made by this board.
Right, exactly. Yeah, like we are not the common council.
We're the council, we're not the administration.
Yeah.
We're not, besides me as a staff liaison, we're on the staff, so.
How long ago was the comment made?
May 12th.
Oh, that's already been a few weeks. Move on.
Can I ask something?
I think we all kind of expressed opinions, but.
Can I have some, based on what you just said, like we are suggesting this being implemented, do we think that we need to educate the zoning board, or do we think this is gonna have any weight? Because I just want to say it wasn't just a Facebook thing, and I apologize, I derailed this, but in that thread from Melissa Everett, Rebecca Martin from Citizens Kingston's replied with the article on their website, which is on their website, but also went out, it looks like, to their like listserv. And I'm just wondering what kind of impact that has. Maybe if we don't want to address them directly, you know, does that hold weight for the decision makers is a question I would pose.
It's kind of above our pay grade in a lot of ways.
I can't hear what you said.
This is just my opinion, but I think a lot of this discussion is not necessarily in scope for what we should be trying to do. And I think it's like we've submitted our opinions as a board to the mayor and I, you know, like the decision makers, and I think that's kind of where we leave it. And like, if they want to take into account other people's opinions, that's okay too. Like, obviously, all of those things should be balanced when officials are making a decision. Yeah, I just don't know that this is, personally, I will say, I think it is not necessarily productive to use our time, continuing to defend the analysis that we did when it was very heavily reliant on like information we were provided by technical experts. And I think like if people want to defend that or contest that, maybe they need to talk to someone else. I'm not saying, yeah, I just, in my opinion, it's best to do what we know how to do best and do a good job at it, and kind of, you know, let people think what they think and let them bring those opinions to us and to the decision makers in a venue where they can be answered honestly and respectfully. And I don't know that that venue is necessarily like, we are not the decision makers here. Anyway, sorry, I talked a lot during, I think.
I also want to make it clear that I'm ex officio and I'm not a voting member of this commission, so if the voting members of the commission would like to take action and do something about this, then that absolutely can happen. And that someone can make a motion to take an action or make a suggestion, and that my statement of that I've said thus far is only my own personal statement as an ex officio member.
Great.
The only action I would consider making is sending the person who was on the email chain from Kingston Citizen and just saying like, we saw your post. We want to make sure you're aware that the Kingston Climate Smart Commission meetings are held X day of the month. They're publicly streamed. Anybody can attend. If you ever want to join a meeting and speak, you're welcome to, or something like that, and just leave it at that. That's the only action I could consider taking at this point. I agree with everything everyone has said. But that is going, I feel like going above and beyond than what's required. So we don't need to do anything.
I don't really feel like inviting someone to write us is necessarily a positive or productive avenue.
Yeah, I don't think it's our position to fight balance very necessarily, nor are we like the technical end all be all, but I think like our position is just connecting the dots for like so the talk that Brad you logged at the other day, like the gentleman who gave the with Melissa Everett, like that was very technically deep, and I thought it was pretty good. Maybe more technical than the layperson could absorb, but I think it's our position to like make sure like, hey, we've seen this person, let's make sure that our government counterparts are also aware of all this technical information that's coming in and like, and being vetting it ourselves and then being found for that information, if they may be getting another fountain of information that's the complete opposite. So it's like, I guess that's our goal, is to try to help.
Yeah, I was actually,
I think is good and vetted and technically sounded.
I was actually on that call, and it's really remarkable that there's a huge lack of information about battery storage in homes with solar panels, and that particular talk, I even contacted the gentleman who gave most of the information. She talked to me offline about that. You can never get back to me. And I discovered also that is actually a problem in the way that battery storage is associated with sales of solar panels. So that if you buy a set of solar panels now and you implement your own battery storage, that is a package that you can buy. But if you already, like me, installed a set of solar panels like 5-6 years ago, and you want to have battery storage, good luck, you can't get it. It's really awful.
Really?
Yeah, it's terrible.
I'm in the same position with solar.
Yeah.
Looking to upgrade that, and all the technical campaigns that are going around are very large scale setting, because that's the.
And this is the problem with the technology, developing sort of in its wonky way, where people like me, took the lead to put solar panels on our roofs, but the associated services are not there yet. It's like this big empty gap. So,
But that means the information that's been flat has been more large scale, not home residential scale. That's something I don't know, it's a concern of mine. I know this. Zoning that's going on, is that entirely large scale? I know we're trying to get it into the building code.
I don't think home battery projects require anything of the zoning.
yeah, but good luck getting it through.
They should try to permit. But the zoning code updates are large scale right
I mean, like the building department code.
I think they already have an existing process for inspecting like residential battery storage. I believe, if I'm recalling that correctly, I think we looked it up last year. And there were like ways we could improve the process, it's in like, we could make the permit clearer, but it does exist.
Oh, okay.
Is that in the building code?
Yeah.
Battery, is that involved with, is this criteria in the building code for batteries? For home batteries?
Honestly, I would have to look back at what we researched, I don't remember exactly what it said.
And the other thing, I think that there needs to be a pathway for new vessel agreements by those who are affected by this noise. And the matter of this, something that we can do here, and obviously, most of the people that think that maybe this is not a function. But I think that there should be So, we have to continue to fit, and we believe, then we need to educate.
Right. Yeah, I think there's education and then there's, when people's emotions and fears get involved, sometimes not everybody is, acting from a place of ability or willingness to absorb technical information. They're scared, and that is just, I think it's something we do need to think about with our outreach and education. And I also think, if something's going to be so contentious that it is easier for it to be dealt with by other parts of the city of Kingston government, maybe we focus on things that we can better spend our time on, for example. And that's just my opinion.
So is there action that the commission would like to take? Okay. Is there anything else on battery storage that we'd like to discuss?
I just have a question, I've been reading about, how battery storage would be, save electricity, save the consumer money. You just not understanding how, that process works. Is there anyone who is?
I'd be happy to talk to you about it, separately or send you some resources.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a couple of things that I could send you.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
I mean, a lot of it, the one sentence or 3 sentence thing is that a lot of it comes down to being able to store the energy that's produced by renewables, which are intermittent.
But the people who are involved, operating these functions,
Yeah,
they're in charge, right?
they would be charging.
That's free. You have a solar, you have to set up the battery storage, facility, that's all.
Right. Right.
It's not like we've got a ton of renewables up here, I think.
Well,
It's definitely.
it also, there's lots of perspectives and ways to look at it, but it comes down to like, are we only installing large scale batteries, or are we installing a lot of small batteries and looking at it in a more distributed grid flexibility way? Where like you could install a battery at your house, or you could plug a battery into the wall, and then you could operate it in a way that saves you money as a consumer. And there's also, in general, there's a lot of possibility and potential for batteries to reduce the overall costs of the grid. I'm happy to.
Yeah, but what about the large scale operations here, right? Essentially, you're talking about a large scale operation, and so you're going to be doing a cost benefit analysis between, an average, natural gas plant, coming online, to peak demand versus, electricity from the grid or solar farm.
Yeah. I mean, this is the kind of stuff I would love to talk about, so let's.
Please.
Yeah, let's talk about it. Like, Better, I see your hand up.
Hi guys. Sorry. Some of you are much easier to hear than others, but I think I'm following most of the conversation. And I apologize, I'm not there. I came down with a really bad cold last week and it's dragging on. I just didn't want to contaminate any of you with my potential germs. But I forgot to email you and let you know, Julie. Anyway, I just wanted to ask, sorry, I didn't hear that. What did you say?
Oh, nothing.
Okay. Some of you sound very mumbled and then some of you I can hear. So, anyway, I was just wondering with the zoning board recommendations, do we know when they might consider them? Is there anything we could do to be proactive? I mean, I know we, put a lot of effort into getting those recommendations together, but just hopefully they will end up getting adopted. And, is there anything more that we could do on that front? I hear what people are saying about, what is our rightful role and all of that, but I also don't know if we necessarily just want to leave this important issue to other decision makers without trying to communicate effectively about how important this is, given, the many sort of towns that are passing moratoriums and not being supportive of BESS, and the fact that Kingston has, traditionally been such a leader on climate and clean energy. So what can we do to sort of shore up that leadership in this potentially contentious moment and not just kind of ignore some opposition that's fomenting, and hope it goes away. And I've also had, neighbors ask me about, the project and, that they're hearing negative stuff. And it's like, how can we kind of get, more positive messages out there about battery storage as being part of the solution? But in particular, the question was about the zoning board.
I mean, as Jake said before, we're working directly with them, attending a meeting, working with the recommendations, right?
Yep.
So that is a direct action that's being taken, working directly with the zoning board, not the zoning board, the zoning working group, and the housing initiatives office, reviewing their draft recommendations, work going through the reading, I mean, that is happening directly. And I mean, one of the priorities for the year is 2A or 2B was working on education, I think, related to this. So I don't know. I think Melissa, if you had identified yourself as the lead on that, I don't know if there's some specific educational action that we want to discuss at this time.
That was a county-wide training for municipal officials. It wasn't really for the public, but I would love to discuss public education and outreach. I think that's what Kat was saying, but again, it is a little hard to hear all you, in the room.
Yeah.
But
We have to talk about it. If we can schedule, I would ideally like to schedule before we leave, actually, the subcommittee for outreach and engagement. Just so we can get something on the books, and maybe find a coffee shop or go to the library, find a place to chat. But I did not get good notes on who's all in that committee last time we had the discussion. So if you want to just, if you explain what it is. Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of, I think it would be, and we have yet to have our first meeting, so I don't know. But my idea is that this is both a tool for the other committees and kind of a place where we can discuss what sort of public facing outreach and engagement we want to do. So it could be something where if you're directly involved, you're more involved in radiating around outreach and engagement. And then if you're on one of the other subcommittees, you could potentially at some point ask us to discuss something or refer something to us for.
So I have a note from last month that says outreach and education, we identified as 3 goals: improve and increase climate smart communication and community engagement, develop a community climate smart survey or climate action vision session, and develop a residential electrification campaign. And that the lead was Cat Cow with the subcommittee of AS, who's AS, KFP. That doesn't mean obviously I repeat that. BB, TS, Troy, and MI, Melissa Archer.
Is there room for one more?
There's room for however many letters I can fit into this little cube.
There is, yeah, there is. Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry about the email clear this one, though. Trying to get something together, but we don't have time.
No. Oh, that's right.
We do have a maximum number of people.
Yes, 5 is the max then.
5 is the max? Oh, I thought it was 6.
There are 11 voting members.
Oh, so it's 5.
Yeah.
So it's capped out?
I'm not voting.
Oh, that's true, and I should have said voting.
Neither is Troy.
Okay, perfect. Yay.
What are we talking here? Troy?
So you're going to try.
Is this also what we're going to be discussing this whole transportation thing?
Let's add it in there. Maybe we can stay for 30 minutes or show up 30 minutes early. Because honestly, I do not have the time to schedule a million meetings. So I think this will be a good move. Yeah. This will be a good chance to talk about whatever we want.
So what the
other days.
Wait, so hold on. Are we still talking about anything else on battery storage?
Oh.
I think if we want to do outreach and education, we can chat about, Melissa and I can chat about it at this upcoming subcommittee meeting if we want to talk about it.
Yeah, I think we're proposing to move it there to talk
Okay.
further about community outreach.
Okay, good. So then, and the table pool initiative, so now we're talking about education outreach. Since we're still on it, you want to figure out scheduling meetings, I would do now.
Yeah, I can, maybe just a proposed set of dates, 2 weeks from now.
Just name a date.
Okay. Let me look at my calendar.
I'm available after June.
Okay, we might have to have the first meeting without you then, but we'll move you in. We'll take notes and move you in. I don't have a calendar, my phone's fully dead, which show you like the type of person that I am. That would be great, just ignore everything. Yeah. Wait, did you?
Yeah, I thought you were pro battery.
You actually, that's so. I think
I think we need you better technology.
I would be down for June 8th, 9th, or 10th. Anytime after 4 p.m.
I can just do. I can do it. Otherwise, I'm missing it.
After which?
Well, honestly, if we just choose a date,
Yeah.
that would be helpful, and then I can work around everyone else.
How about June 8th at 4 or 5?
Works, can you? Yeah,
Check.
yeah, me too.
Is everybody else in?
Yeah.
Well, Melissa and Benna, you're both on the call.
I don't get out of work till 5. I can do the 8th. I can't do the 9th or 10th.
Okay, now I can do the 8th. I can fix around.
8th at 5? Does that work? Okay, location, Benna, what about you?
Sorry, just getting my calendar. June 8th, that's a when? No, what day is that?
Monday.
Monday. Oh, I see. I'm in the wrong. At what time?
5 p.m.
Where?
I don't know if I'll be able to because I probably have my kid. So you guys can carry on. I'm better during the day, I would say.
So we'll report back.
Okay.
Because I think we do have kind of a majority of people who can attend. He just not to. So he's the other person, but I'll check in with them. And I have everyone's emails, so I will send out the final thing.
Great. And a location.
And a location, yes. I'll choose something that's open late enough.
Wall Street Pizza might be a good option.
Oh, that's nice.
Quiet, ostentatious.
I like quiet, honestly.
Where is it? Wall Street what?
Right across from the Hotel Kansas City. Wall Street.
Street.
I think that's a
Wall Street, okay.
Yeah. It's just it. I'll send an email to everyone in the subcommittee to get confirmed, so everyone will have it in writing, but this is pretty first. Yes, thank you.
All right. Great. So going back up to Earth Fair debrief, it was equally just and also a million years ago. And many of us were involved. It was, I think it was a resounding success. We pivoted with grace and we worked it out. It's a well-oiled machine, and I think that we had a great turnout considering. Well done.
Thank everybody also.
Reporting on like budget because it's still too fresh. I mean, there's just things that I've looked at. So I'm not gonna have that kind of budget information for several months. We ended up having 46 vendors, 20 volunteers, 1 dump truck full of e-waste. I don't know the figure numbers.
It's like 36, like 36 appliances.
36 appliances, unbelievable, great feedback from all the 3 different locations. Really great response from, the partnership with Clearwater and Mayor Kingston and everyone else. Staying within budget. I think it was really great. So
Check all the boxes, check all the perfect.
we also held a record-breaking paint recycling event, which also was this month for those who.
Wait, another one?
Just a week after. And on that, I do have some data. A number of us here worked extremely hard that day, moving 621 vehicles through a very intricate system of flow where the folks didn't need to get out of the cars. And we ended up collecting 108 cubic yard boxes of paint, so 86,928 pounds of latex, water, and acrylic-based paint, 7,000 pounds of oil-based paint, so we total waste diverted from the landfill, 94,034 pounds of paint.
And this was the actual weight that you weighed?
No, this is the weight that they would even sent to me.
Oh, they themselves?
They have a spray machine that we partner with.
Oh.
They take all the paint.
That's what I was wondering.
So the
And
day
it all?
the truck, the cars, they get a restoration, they drag through this system of meandering homes. Came with us, ball rush the car, open the trunk, take the stuff out, and then drive off.
Get knowledge where the trucks.
And then all the paint is put into big gaylords and then wrapped, and then it's put on, travel trailers, and then it's shipped to Rotterdam the same day. And then they separate it by type and by color, and then they mix it, and then they resell it.
You said record breaking, so what?
Well, record breaking for us, we've done it 2 years in a row, and this is the most that we've had so far.
That's awesome.
Yeah, really incredible, and things will change how we do it next year. There was a lot of people, and it's really short amount of time. And you know, there's a lot of things that were out of our control. For those of you that did volunteer that day, I commend everyone and know that this is a lot of it was out of our control. Not our event. We are volunteers at someone else's event and we're hosting.
I hope that the suggestions that I sent you are going to be taken up by.
The suggestions that you sent were sent directly and communicated verbally. And frankly, the firm that we work with, apologized profusely for some of their actions. That there was not a lot of great time for our volunteers, there wasn't a lot of support, and people had to wait quite a long time in the lines. But there was some
1 hour, which is amazing that they sat in their cars. They were hot cars. They're hot cars.
There were some staffing changes at the 11th hour on their end, and frankly, the fact that they didn't cancel on us to me was amazing.
So, yeah, no kidding.
Either way, we'll be at a different location next year if we do it again.
Mostly the water situation's terrible.
Did you shut it down at 1 o'clock?
No.
No.
No, we went
My
to.
wife went up between 12 and 1 with her own household, a few bits.
Yeah.
And she said there was 3 queues.
Yeah.
Coming in from all directions.
Well, yeah.
I had to go 1:45 and they were still hard at work.
Yeah.
Taking paint from cars and very tense.
Is there a way that people can just carry it as opposed to car?
Well, that's me extended a couple of carries,
Yeah.
but people were not happy about that.
Carrying it in would be well,
Nice.
Nice.
Steps out of my car when I dropped off below and I nearly got beaten back into it. Was actually talking, I'm talking more.
Yeah. So, as a reference, the team that does this green sheen, they do dozens of these a year, and they said that their average is 7 minutes per car. We had people waiting substantially longer than that. They also said that the same exact weekend when we were there, they were also in Rochester and they did 1,200 cars. And the waiting more than 7 minutes.
Wow.
So clearly
There's more volunteers.
there were more volunteers. We provided all the volunteers we said we would provide. We provided every part of it that we said we would provide. And this organization took it entirely on its own that it was that they were at fault. But the bottom line is,
we diverted a massive amount of paint.
It's awesome.
Yeah, at zero cost to the city.
Yay.
Well done.
And nobody got heat stroke.
Awesome. And nobody got stroked.
Yeah. Tennis for lady, one guy.
I know what's that.
Mitch Gator guys. Bags.
That was sitting on the donuts table, and it turned out to be this one guy's food. And and then I heard that other people ate from his bag as well. And the poor guy, I mean, I'm leaning on who gave him money.
Well, thank you again, everyone, for participating.
That's awesome.
All right, so, website updates, Kat and I had a good meeting to touch base on updating the website. Kat's gonna circle back on some things. It's been a little moment since, the review of that. And that is on me for not, beginning to pick that up. But we're going to be doing some updates on the website, and that should happen in the next couple months. Yeah. All right, Repair Cafe. Melissa, you said you'd like to discuss Repair Cafe?
Yeah, just letting everyone know that the next one is June 27th, and that's going to be at Clinton United Methodist Church. Of course, you know, love you all to volunteer if you can. Also, just going to send the flyer when we have it to help promote it.
Melissa, what's the address?
It's the Clinton Avenue United Methodist Church.
I don't know where any church is.
From corner Clinton. And
I'll look it up. I have the other church's address memorized, but
Did you send me an email about that?
sure.
You usually have a flyer, right?
Do you have a skill set or you want to get something repaired?
I gotta check my calendar to see how that weekend, if I'm available, but I would be interested to maybe volunteer. It'd be great.
And you're gonna send me a flyer?
Yeah, I'm gonna block the back.
Okay.
Yes, okay, great.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
122 Clinton Avenue. And Anezka, do you know if you can come?
I am at a very big reunion in Massachusetts that day.
Oh, you did say that. Okay. No worries.
I also can't be there at that cafe, so if anybody here is free on that Saturday and would be willing to help like check people in and stuff, it would be a huge help. Not required, but we would appreciate it.
That's the 27th, what is it?
27th.
Yeah, also like helping set up, you know, and
Right.
move the tables around and such.
Set up and breakdown is really important.
What are the hours of this?
The cafe is 11 to 3. We usually try to get to the church at 10.
And it's a Saturday? Yes. Okay, I'm able to, I will check my schedule. Cool. If you want to text me.
Okay.
Yeah, like just coordination. I can't do it this month, but I think in
August,
August would be a worse. One day maybe? We're going to more forward to when I graduate and get better.
I think I could help Melissa.
So Melissa Bragg will directly connect with you on that.
I think me or Jake usually sends the flyer and then you send it to the commission, but if me and Jake will maybe just email the commission directly so we get a final count of who's going to volunteer. I'll make a note to do that. Oh, you all froze. And you're muted. Hello?
Yeah, I'm here, Melissa.
Okay, it's kind of like it sounds like we went into a black hole or something because
Yeah, I
the
think
sound just
so.
stopped.
I don't know.
I think
I can hear you guys.
I think they accidentally muted.
Okay, maybe they're coming back. Let's see.
This has happened before when I've been there.
Oh,
Can you see us and hear us?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Good now, yeah.
There's something. Be awarding, tomorrow to a firm that I don't know what to say yet.
but that will happen very soon. The award's gonna go out tomorrow, like I said, which means this is for design. Design will be happening this year with, construction maybe later this year. North Street demos and public access, the environmental hazardous materials, survey has been completed and I'm awaiting all components of the final report. Lead has certainly been found and I'm waiting on a report about the other things, including asbestos. Then I will be moving forward with a abatement and demolition contract immediately after, which I'm drafting as we speak. Kingston Organics, we're up to 704 families registered, which is 1,672 people, 103 tons that have been diverted. And as of now, it seems as though mid-July is going to be the start time because my trucks are arriving in June. My buckets have been ordered and are arriving in June, and my EV charging stations are installed, but they will be finally commissioned in June. So we're looking likely at the second week in July for an actual kickoff, but I need to have the boats, the truck, and the EV charging stations all in line. And 2-10 Broadway, the EV charging station is gonna go right there. I have the rebid and the bids are due tomorrow, so that award will go over for that. And we're trying to currently figure out demand metering because I don't want to pay thousands of dollars for demand metering. So I guess there's a new program called
Ease-in or something like that.
something, it's some sort of program through Central Hudson that we're going to explore that.
Could you elaborate on this a little bit?
I don't know the easy rate there should be, yeah.
What you don't do?
I don't want to pay demand charges.
What do you mean?
So, so currently all of our EV charging stations are level 2. And we don't currently, trigger demand charges, maybe there isn't enough draw of amps at any given time to trigger demand charges. But with a DC fast charger, the amperage is substantial at any given moment, which will, and I confirmed with Central Hudson, will trigger that I'm going to pay thousands of extra dollars for demand charges.
Well, you want to say that.
Do not want that.
You do. You want to because if with maybe the other program, I don't know about it, is maybe more cost beneficial, but the best cost effective electric bill you can have with Central Hudson is paying your delivery rate, $15 per kW, and the electricity rate. Because when you combine both of those together, your average electricity price is half of what residents pay and what those level 2 chargers are. So it's a combination of your demand and your electricity costs.
We should,
and the
let's talk about this, let's talk about this during the day at work, because I know one was tasked with figuring this out.
I'm happy to help. I'm a little aware of not all of the details, but some of the details.
Gladly, so only email.
Okay. That's my new school projects. There is one communication that came from Stand Earth. That is the two-way agency opportunity 2-pager that you will find over there. They did ask if this Climate Smart Kingston Commission were interested in leaving this flyer to promote switching to heat pumps. I said, I would I don't know anything about Stand Earth or the Public Health Wall Center or Army.
RMI, Rocky, formerly Rocky.
Yeah, thanks for clear.
I would choose that.
But I thought that I would bring this to, I guess, the education group, and then we can decide if we want, if wants to do something that we want to share. Yeah, we want to look at it?
Yeah, we can look at it. I like the language at first glance, but I think we should decide.
All right, great. Is there social media postings? We're gonna post about the Pear Cafe, what?
We gotta do that.
Okay, no,
No.
sorry about it, go ahead.
Oh, that's okay. I was just gonna say that NYCP has worked with Stand.Earth before, and I couldn't hear the other group, but yeah, they're very nice people. They're based like mostly on the West Coast. But yeah, I'd be interested in seeing what they want us to help promote. I think, it would be good to have some educational materials, obviously about heat pumps, but probably good if it would link to like a local resource. But maybe we can do both.
Okay, super. Thank you. So the web postings or repair cafe,
It
what
was
else?
hard to hear what you said. You just said repair cafe, right? You didn't say anything after that.
Correct.
Okay.
Someone else, things we should be posting on.
Do we know the August date for the repair cafe?
Last Saturday. We travel the third Saturday or last Saturday, was it?
What?
We travel the last Saturday of the month typically for the repair cafe, right?
No, we didn't make a set rule. It's August 15th, though.
Okay.
Okay. Post the final results from the paint collection.
Yeah, they're cool.
I can send you that.
The city is preparing a post or you?
No.
Okay.
Can I send you the data and you post it?
Yeah, I can do that.
And the next meeting is currently June 24th. Is there anyone that knows that they're not available on June 24th?
It will probably not be available on June 24th.
Guys, one minute.
But I might surprise you, but don't know.
Anyone else? Oh, that makes sense. Oh.
June 24th?
Yeah.
I can't make that. I'll be in New York City for conference.
2 people. But we're still one, huh? All right, if there's no other business, then I will entertain.
I was just looking, sorry, it took me a second. My partner's gonna be in the city that night, so I'll have my kid, so I might have to join remotely, but I can share my address if that enables us to have quorum with me joining remotely.
Okay.
Supporter Elizabeth.
All right, great.
I move to adjourn.
Okay. All right, all in favor? Aye. I need, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
If you need to,
Bye.